So I'm so pleased to introduce two people who practice the values of sustainability and ESG in their practice every day, Bernie and Christie Geiss, longtime associates with PPI. So while you can see their bio in the YAP, I just wanted to share something that isn't in the YAP and congratulate them because they were recently selected as finalists for the Family Enterprise of the Year Award for Western Canada by the Family Enterprise Canada. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So welcome both of you. Now we're going to talk a little bit today about what responsible stewardship means to the two of you. And we'll get started by talking about B Corp certification. We talked about it yesterday. We saw a video about it. So Cove has achieved the B Corp designation since 2016. And that's really a great achievement. And again, congratulations on that, because it's a high bar to get to, as Jim Virtue mentioned yesterday. And that bar is continually raising. So what I'd like to ask you is, what has it meant to your business and to your team of achieving that B Corp designation? And I'll start with you, Christie.
Thanks, Barb. For us, it really means we are committed to more than just making money. We're committed to all of our stakeholders, which include our employees, our community, our customers, the environment, and also good governance. But underpinning all of that is the fact that we need to be profitable, because profitability supports all of it.
Yeah, and from my perspective, B Corp certification really gave us a common purpose. It's a really unifying element in our business. And I call it the fourth circle. And any of you that are familiar with the three-circle model for family enterprise, it's the fourth circle that I think pulls it all together. It's bigger than us, and it's outward reaching, so we stop thinking about ourselves, we start thinking about the community and those stakeholders that we impact. And we've had our best years ever as a business since we've gone to the B Corp model. We've changed a lot about the way we do business, and that has actually been very profitable for us.
Okay, that's great. So, Christie, let me ask you, and I know we have a few of your team members and colleagues in the audience today. What has it meant to them, this process?
Well, for us, it wasn't really a huge leap because we were already sort of doing all the B Corp things, but what it did is it formalized it for us. We had a third party say, yes, you are doing good. So that was really important because we're a pretty small team. There's only 8 or 9 of us, and it's really important that we're all in the same headspace, on the same commitment level, and able to do what we really want to do to make a difference. We also did a little survey of our employees to see, how do you feel about being a B Corp? And I'm just going to read you a couple little excerpts. So one of them is, working with Cove and being a B Corp certified made me feel like I'm doing my part, no matter how big or small, to impact the environment in a positive way. Another little insert from another employee. Cove being a B Corp is meaningful to me as it includes us in a category of like-minded people with aligned values, with a focus on transparency and a desire to make a difference in our business. So these are great comments coming from our employees. They really are enjoying it and really have bought into the whole thing. So it's wonderful.
Okay, that's fantastic. And are there some other things that you do in your office? You told me on Mondays you have certain things that you go through.
So every Monday morning we have a team meeting, and each week a different team member actually leads the meeting. So it's not led by, all the owners. It's sort of shared. So to begin with, we start with a land acknowledgement, and then we go into a 5-minute meditation. After that, we kind of share what are the fun things we did on the weekend. Then we look back at what did we do last week, what were our wins, what were we really proud of, and then we talk about what's our goal for the next week. So that's really great. We also have a meditation room in our office. We have a workout room in our office. And every Tuesday, we have a yoga session that everyone goes to, and the staff really enjoy this. It makes for an environment that's really inclusive and where we believe in space to breathe. So that sort of formalizes.
That's fantastic. I think I want to come work there.
So one more thing I wanted to say too is we actually openly encourage people to follow their passions. So we have an artist, we have someone who's really into CrossFit. those kinds of things. We really encourage that because it really is important.
Okay. That's great.
Sorry about
So I'll turn to you, Bernie. You've expressed to me the importance of corporate governance in this process. Can you share why?
So good governance is really where it all starts. Like governance per se, it's got to start from the top. You can't have somebody who really wants to do it, who doesn't have any ability to make decisions, and everybody who's doing something in the office is doing it because they believe that it's supported. So, and the key value that needs to be expressed is inclusion. If there's anything that you can start with, it's just taking the idea of building an inclusive organization. And we feel that we've built an inclusive organization, and we're working and continually striving to create an inclusive culture. It wasn't always like that, though. Like many of you in this room, I thought I was it. I'm the boss. You know, I call the shots, and everybody should fall in line. That was until we discovered the whole B Corp movement and the importance of inclusivity and the idea of everybody having a voice, because becoming a B Corp really meant that suddenly you had to consider all stakeholders, and that's the definition of inclusion. So it took a concerted effort. Christie and I had a number of difficult conversations when she became an owner of Cove. Bernie's no longer the boss. She has a voice, and it was really important that I listened, and that was really good for us because it created the culture where we could listen to everybody. And as some of you might know who work in a family business, you can have some difficult moments. And so this culture that we were building, in my opinion, is ideally suited for family enterprise.
So how is this all kind of connected to B Corp as well? I know you have a few other areas.
Well, the B Corp certification formalized our path towards building an inclusive organization. And one of the things that it did was it defined the stakeholders for the first time. So you've got your community, you've got your workers, you've got the environment, you've got your customers. And then that last element, which is governance, needs to basically take that all into consideration. So we became B Corp certified in 2016. We baked our public benefit, which is the definition of impact in this space, into our corporate articles. That was simple. But a few years later, we actually got benefit company legislation passed in BC. It's the only jurisdiction in Canada, and we hope it happens all the way across Canada. But what it allows for is it actually allows you to register as a special form of corporation. And what it does is it actually allows you to include benefits for other stakeholders that you define other than just shareholders. And it's a growing movement around the world, and we're really proud to have it in BC. Listening to what people say and responding appropriately is the key, and I want to give a shout out to Jim. Jim has always built a culture of inclusion, and it goes back to my first days at PPI in 1991 when I first discovered the accountable agents contract, where the commission followed you regardless of what happened at PPI, and also the consumable life insurance contract for the consumer. That to me was a representation of inclusion at a business level, which I admired very much. So if you start your exploration of your sustainability journey with the idea of being inclusive, you'll check all the boxes and it'll be a really easy path. That's all I can say about that.
I totally agree. Inclusion is so key for our families and our businesses alike. So Christie, let's turn. So one of the elements of B Corp is community. So I know you have a number of initiatives going in there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd love to. One of the things we started, we're a member of 1% for the Planet, which means every dollar that we earn, 1% of it goes to the planet. We decided that wasn't enough, so we started 1% for the people. And part of 1% for the people, we organized a society called the Kalipi-Pasisi Reconciliation Society, where we brought together First Nations, businesses, and high schools, and we did projects, what we call reconciliation projects, on First Nation territory. In those projects, we also focused on education for truth and reconciliation. So that was really, really amazing. The second thing that we do is we focus on women in business. And as part of that, I am a member of Coralus, formerly SheEO. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but we're women who get together and practice radical generosity by creating a fund where we loan to women-led businesses a 5-year loan that's interest-free. So they have 5 years to pay it back. We then become their mentors and their buyers. We buy their products. So I'm pretty proud to be part of that community. It's been really great. So when I look around this room, I see there's more women, but there's not enough. I think we really need to change the model. You know, traditionally, insurance has been sold by men to men. We need to look at selling insurance to women. We need to look at how we express our values and how we use our dollars. And an example of that, if you look at Bernie and I, we're both wearing Patagonia clothes. That's what we wear pretty much all the time. And the reason is they have rigorous standards when it comes to their environmental practice. They recycle their clothes, they fix things for you. They're just a wonderful company. So I think it's really important that as advisors, in our business, we use our dollars correctly, that we look for companies that are B Corp certified, that are 1% for the Planet members, so we can use our dollar to make a difference. So.
Okay, that's great, and that's one of the reasons we chose Patagonia for a number of
Nice.
the prizes that we've given away. So in terms of Cove, how has it become more inclusive for women?
Well, one of the things we did about 3 or 4 years ago is we started a women's division. We decided that it would be great to have services for women sold by women. And just over there are 2 of our new advisors, and they are women. So we're pretty proud of that because we think it's really important to create a healthy, inclusive environment. And actually, we were looking at our stats the other day, and it seems that we've had a significant increase in policies sold to women. So it works.
Okay, that's great. And I can certainly relate to that initiative. Yeah. So environment, another important part of the B Corp process. So Bernie, can you share a couple of initiatives that you have in that area?
Sure, but I want to digress just for a second. Get involved with the First Nations communities and the Truth and Reconciliation movement, because it is really moving. Even when we were talking about it, it started to well up in me when I remembered those projects. So, yeah. In terms of the environment, B Corp certification inspired us to get involved with the fight to save the planet. And we have a relatively small footprint because we're mostly electronic based. You know, the pandemic was great. We didn't do as much traveling. But we went and we joined 1% for the Planet, which is an organization, a nonprofit that verifies our giving. We don't give money to them. They verify that we've given it to 1% for the Planet qualified charities. And they're grassroots organizations. And for us, we chose a couple of organizations that we sponsor. And one of them is the North Shore Stream Keepers, and the other one is Eco-Justice. For Eco-Justice, we did an Earth Day webinar where we actually went public for the first time the new initiative of corporate climate accountability legislation, which is led by Eco-Justice, which you'll hear more about, which is the drive to have legislation to make companies accountable on their GHG emissions and to have a plan to mitigate. So one of those stories that we have shared with our clients, and obviously we're involved in, is the North Shore Stream Keepers. And it's a local organization of volunteers, and they're dedicated to preserving the waterways on the North Shore. They successfully rehabilitated a traditional salmon spawning ground that had virtually died off at the turn of the, by the turn of the century. And we helped not only fund it, but we actually went out and did volunteer activities. We planted trees, we spread topsoil, we removed invasive species that were growing in the area. And as far as the success goes, at the turn of the century, there were virtually no salmon rearing. There were no salmon rearing in the stream. And as of 2022, there are literally thousands of fry that are they're hatched. They live there, and then they go out to sea, and there's 4 different types of salmon that are now present in a place where there weren't any before.
Yeah, and I can really relate to how awesome it is to see salmon come back, because even in the center of Toronto, in the Don River, they've come back in the last 10 years, and it is an amazing thing to see. So that's great. Congratulations. So the other part of B Corp is about customers and your clients. So how do you share this, what you're doing with them, and how do they respond to it?
Thanks, Barb. We share it through social media mostly. We have a marketing director and our young advisors do it well. And most of the response has been positive. It really has strengthened our position of trust. Now, as far as the next generation in our company, what I've noticed is they love it. They do want to spend their dollars on companies that are impact-based. So it's important that we look at the next generation and how they're spending their dollars and make sure that we show them that we care. So
that's great.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, Christie mentioned mostly positive. We have one or two that didn't like it, didn't like the fact that we were taking positions on fighting climate change and environmental issues, and they also didn't like the position that we took with respect to truth and reconciliation. But that's a very small number, and the message that everybody needs to know is that you can't have a few naysayers spoiling you from doing what you believe is the right thing to do, and that's become evident for us.
Okay, and that's great. So let me ask you, Bernie, in terms of insurance products and investment funds, and I see you smiling, what's the message? What would you like to see happening in the industry?
Well, all of us in this room, we have a really big voice, and we need to use this voice. The insurance industry controls and deploys billions of dollars of capital, and my hope is that one day we have an insurance product which allows us vertical integration from talking the talk with our clients and being able to sell a product that actually delivers on creating a positive impact for the environment, solving issues of poverty, etc. So these insurance policies that we sell, they're meant to secure the financial futures of families. Well, we would like that to happen at the back end as well, where we're actually securing the future of future generations in terms of the planet and in terms of solving some very significant social issues. So let's all aim to fight climate change and at the same time that we're serving our clients.
Okay. I can certainly see that you two are here to change the world, and as we heard from David McWilliams this morning, it sometimes takes the best people to stand up and make a statement. So that's really, really good. So in terms of yourselves individually and from what you've been doing and the spiritual aspects of it, how has this changed your lives?
Well, for me, it makes it a lot easier to go to work, because it's nice to go to work and know that you don't have to compromise your values on your job. It's really great to be leaving a legacy for our next gens, because I think we've proven to them that caring for all stakeholders makes for a profitable, I'm underlining profitable, and socially responsible company. So it's nice to know that we're leaving a small footprint and that I can leave at least our business and hopefully the planet a little better than when I started. I feel like I'm truly living the dream.
Nice. And Bernie?
Yeah, well, I'm extremely positive about the future. The idea that when we look at the environmental movement and all of the social issues that we have, when we watch the news, it gets very depressing. But when you actually dive under the hood and you start getting involved, you start to see some amazing stories and you start to get hope. And so this isn't a story about how we have to get depressed and feel bad and then do things and change things because we feel we have to. This is about actually enriching your lives. It's amazing how that works. I've met many inspiring people, including my hero, Yvonne Chouinard of Patagonia, down at the 1% for the Planet conference in Colorado. And we've followed that company for many years. Required reading at Cove is Let My People Go Surfing by Yvonne Chouinard, Business Unusual. We no longer focus just on ourselves, and that in itself makes us sleep better at night. So I'm really excited about it. And so giving of our time and our energy has been extremely rewarding, to say the least.
And profitable.
Yeah. Okay, that is great. And finally, I just want to draw everyone's attention to the slide up there. So if you look at that photo at the bottom, That's Bernie and Christie riding this or surfing the same wave, and so symbolically, and it's just very cool. So I just had to point that out. So really appreciate you sharing this story with us. Thank you so much, and I think I speak for everyone here. It's very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Barb.
Barb.